This presentation is brought to you by the ZACK Foundation, a global philanthropic organization with a focus on poverty, education, human rights, mental health, and cultural exchange. In this series, we will explore the symposium lectures, in which we discuss principles of management, marketing, international business, and psychology. I hope you enjoy.
Just presentation. Just presentations, and we can go on. Short day.
Quick question, what's the rubric like? Because I try to find out what are we rated on in this?
Just pretty much the whole PESTLE approach. If you included all facets of political, economic, legal, technical, a lot of those guys.
We have one slide for that where we go in depth, but the whole presentation is kind of talking about things that relate to it in a way. So
Of course, yes. It doesn't, if your company or product, whatever, relates to all of that, then that's what it's about. It's not just trying to be as formal and structured to say, make sure you have the pencil. Encompass it all through.
and when we know our grade by below.
Probably get you two guys with grades done before next class.
An estimate by the end of the presentation? An estimate by the end of the presentation?
No estimate. Have a cliffhanger.
It's a 20-minute presentation.
I don't know.
It's a lot of presentation. I'm not stressed. I just don't like not knowing everything.
What's the psychology behind presenting public speaking?
Look at everybody.
You guys thought about that?
Look at everybody.
Well, how do you? You guys have any methods for calming yourself and making yourself confident? No.
I just don't feel that you're the one that's up here. They weren't good enough to be up there. You're the one that's
Or I'm never gonna have to see you guys again.
Seriously, who cares? Wow. Always remember, it's your perspective. The audience are just an audience, right? Not everybody's gonna like you, love you, accept what you like, think it's awesome or the greatest. But the point is, don't care. You're there to present information. That's it. Like TED Talks. Throw a little humor in there to keep people interested. That's just the art of presenting, right? Because no one likes it just a dry presentation. You're like, okay, what was that? Make it fun, be loose, be rigid. Those are some tidbits. Take a couple deep breaths. All right, so who's going first? Okay. Up in the back is going first. You guys could access everything?
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. Take it away. You need me to make it the room darker, or are you good?
Can everybody see it? Yeah. Yeah.
You can see good?
Then it's
Okay.
fine.
Alright.
Okay, so our company is Worldwide Water Co., satisfying thirst one bottle at a time. So our mission is we operate as social entrepreneurs focused not only on creating a profit and selling quality water, but selling a mission to provide clean, drinkable, and refreshing water to create global change and solve the epidemic of lack of access to clean drinking water in undeveloped regions. Our business overview. Worldwide Water Co. is an innovative company that sells biodegradable water bottles to the general public, as well as custom designed reusable bottles online. This company started by selling domestically and wishes expanded overseas to give back internationally. While expanding overseas, it is possible to move and sell more innovative products. Worldwide Water has a strong sense of social responsibility. We feel very strongly about going back to those who need it, giving back to those who need it. Our new locations are Ethiopia. 11% of the population there has access to clean water. Ghana, only 67% of the population, or 67% of the population does not have access to any clean water. And South Africa, 74% of rural inhabitants rely on contaminated groundwater.
Okay, so our kind of business runs through a 5-step process. So the first step in this process is to find local nonprofits to partner with us wherever we decide to set up shop. So as we mentioned, we are looking into 3 nations in Africa right now. So we would be looking for nonprofit partners that are already established there, that are already doing work there to provide help for those in need. So we're looking at these 3 main foundations, so Water to Thrive, African Rural Development and Sustainability Organization, and then H2O Life. And all of those organizations either help to provide water to regions that don't have access to clean water, or they help to provide supplies and materials so that underdeveloped regions can kind of get back up on their feet. So we would like to focus on partnering with them, kind of getting our foot in the door so that we have some connections once we do expand internationally that can kind of help us in distributing those donations. So the second step of the process is at the end of each month, we generally will tally all of the water bottle sales that we have, whether it's individual bottles or cases. And then for every bottle that we sell or case we sell, we provide to someone in need via our partner profits one of those bottles or cases. So it's kind of like an eye for an eye company. Every bottle we sell, a bottle is donated. So we do tally that up each month, and then we let our distribution centers know, and then they send that out to our partners. Then the third step in the process is that each nonprofit is set up directly with one of our distributors so that they can receive the orders each month. And these water bottles are directly sent to them so that they can distribute to whatever regions or areas they feel need the water at that time. And that's going to kind of help those organizations to cut down on time and waste their resources so that they can really focus on solving the issue and they don't have to worry about finding water to donate. In order to kind of combat going internationally and having some different time changes because we are a US-based company, we're going to have all of our distribution occur from our easternmost distribution site so that we can be as close as possible to those 3 nations that we're looking into. And we are going to change the way that we tally. So instead of at the end of each month then sending out orders, we're going to go every 2 weeks. And after the first 2 weeks, we're going to go based on an estimate process. So we'll see how many sales we've had within the 2 weeks and then just kind of estimate how many more we think we'll have in the other 2 weeks so that we can try and get that to them as fast as possible. And then the 4th step in the process is making sure that the nonprofit staff and volunteers come together to distribute water to the communities in need. So as we go international, we'll still utilize volunteers who are in those overseas organizations, and it'll be their job to kind of recruit locally to have volunteers come in and help distribute that water, and that will kind of help encourage more involvement. And then the final step is that water donated does help save nonprofits time and resources so that they can redirect their energy towards other problems in their community and towards really focusing on building up their organizations. So as we look to recruit partner nonprofits, we really want to focus on making sure that we tell them that they would be saving time, they are saving their energy and resources by partnering with us and helping us to distribute water. We also want to make sure that we portray the fact that we are socially responsive and that we're making an impact on nations near them and far so that they can be part of a bigger global change.
Alright, so our overall business strategy, or what we want to be good at, is spreading awareness to everybody about the certain problems that we are addressing, which is the lack of clean water sources for underdeveloped or developing nations. So we want to have a sustainable company and help connect to the world and contain proper business ethics, because our company is really focused on giving back and trying to help by selling and giving free water bottles. So while expanding into other countries, there are things we have to consider. So politically, Ethiopia utilizes federal republics, so decisions are made swiftly and locally. So they allow for stable governments. So they're a little bit similar to the U.S. They are more conducive to growth and stability for newcomers. And South Africa is another country we're going into, and they utilize parliamentary representative republic, so citizens vote for a party and do not have direct majority rule is the main focus of the system, so it appeals to the majority of the consumers to get into retails and successful selling. And then the last country utilizes a unitary republic, so the system relies on efficiency and the three branches of decision making. It's similar to the U.S. system and needs to overcome by relating the product to the mission to already established business, so it is not too different.
Alright, so the economic factor, we use the Human Development Index. So that takes into consideration the standard of living, education, and health. So for South Africa, they're at a 0.67 index, ranked 119th in the world. Ethiopia is at a 0.45, ranked 174th in the world. So they're amongst like the 20 poorest countries in the world. Ghana is at a 0.58, ranked 139th. So all these countries are at the low to medium human development range. For the social factor, we want to get our foot into the door by utilizing connections from Aid for Africa and Red Cross to help find organizations to directly distribute to, and then to sell and promote bottles in established chains and reaches that could reach wealthier markets. So South Africa has shops such as ShopRite, Woolworth, Pick n Pay. Ethiopia has Safeway supermarket and Mercado. Ghana has AJ Naturals in the supermarket. It's Watson's Ghana. We also want to work with the fair trade movement. This will allow us to work more ethically and volunteer to help communities in need. And we can visit colleges and events to inform the public, as well as sponsor other events such as maybe like sporting events with celebrities or online donations to help our mission and the industry overall. And then our technological factor is to be extremely active on social media. These platforms such as Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, Facebook, we can advertise and expand the brand while applying the hashtag bottle at a time. This will just help spread awareness of suffering countries around the world. The use of online sales, personalized reusable water bottles to appeal to a larger demographic of online shoppers. With the lack of access to technological resources such as Wi-Fi in those areas, we can utilize landlines to connect with distributors and local partners, and as well as use recycled biodegradable materials to produce Enso bottles. And Enso bottles are just plastic containers that biodegrade in like landfill environments.
So for the legal aspects that we kind of need to consider moving forward, we do need to make sure that we're following South African law of sale, which is where you comply with food and health and phytosanitary laws in both our production and our delivery processes. We also need to follow Ghanaian customs validation code, so we comply with destination inspection schemes, and all labels have to be modified to comply with Ghana's general labeling rule. We also need to follow certificate of analysis regulations by Ethiopian standards agencies, and it's important that we kind of take into consideration these legal factors, because we do want to make sure, as we're entering these international markets, that we're conveying to the public, to the government as well, that we are rule followers, that we are going to be as ethical as possible and respectful of that nation's values and of their legal system, so that we don't have any conflicts moving forward, and that we kind of have a smooth process into integrating with their culture and their communities.
Okay, environmental, so these nations are developing, majority, I think 40% of each country is living in poverty. They live on like $1.25 a day. And what we wanna do is expand into there and sell to the higher level or higher upper market. With these biodegradable bottles, we wanna do very little bit of damage to the environment, because when they do break down, they leave no residue that will harm the planet. So what we wanna do is distribute that eco-friendly packaging to the lower half of society that is struggling to have clean water, because in that area, I think it's every 20 seconds, a child dies from the water that they ingest and waterborne pathogens. And so what we want to do is provide relief for those local villages. And then some cultural challenges that we'll face is that we'll have to understand the culture and environment in each of these areas. We'll have to know their history and geographical background. We need to know the lay of the land before we set up and where we're going to distribute. We need to learn the characteristics and values and behaviors of consumers in that area before we can even start to sell over there. And that can be done through market research. We need to figure out what consumers want, what they need, how we need to provide this product to the lower, the BOP, the bottom of the pyramid market, and the higher consumers. And we need to understand the political and legal restrictions within those areas, so we're not stopped along the way.
Do you have any questions?
Yeah, any questions? Nothing? In terms of choosing South Africa, Ghana, and your third one, South Africa, Ghana, and Ethiopia. Why did you choose those? Was it because they were the low to medium human development index?
So
Why did not choose Somalia, Sudan, Congo, where it's a lot poorer? You may have more effectiveness.
Yeah, we wanted to look at where the water crisis was kind of affecting most, and specifically Ghana and Ethiopia were in one of the top 10 nations who struggle the most to having access to clean water. So we kind of want to make sure that we're still keeping our mission alive of really wanting to get to those poorest or least opportunity nations. So that's why we kind of focus there, because we really want to make sure that in donating our water bottles, that's really helping out those who need it most.
Okay.
Just to add on to that, those countries are located in different parts of Africa, so it just help our brand spread out along the borders.
And as of right now, those economies are either growing or are stabilized due to industrialization or their shipment and export of coffee beans and cocoa, I think. And they do have a wide gap between their richest society and their very poorest, so we can gain profit from the richest to provide for the poorest in those areas. They're close together.
Okay. Makes sense. So you're saying the degree of magnitude, even though these other countries are poor, there's some poorer countries in Africa. This is more developing countries, right?
Yeah,
so they're affected more because there's more higher concentration of people in kind of urban environment.
Yeah.
What is your biggest limitation or challenge to actually making this work?
I think our biggest challenge is definitely going to be overcoming kind of the cultural barriers that we might find as we bring it in, because some members of the culture might not understand what our mission is and what we're trying to do, that we are a company who is trying to make a profit, but we're also trying to donate and to help others. So I think kind of making sure that we can communicate that with language barriers and everything like that. So I think that's where kind of partnering with those international organizations that we already have partnerships with, like the Red Cross.
Yeah.
Kind of utilizing them to help us really communicate our message with them, but I think that'll be kind of the biggest challenge.
Okay. Anybody else want to add? Any more questions? I have one thing, what I would think. Another challenge is actually properly vetting the nonprofits who are there that you're got partnerships with, to make sure, you know, things are going the way they should be going, right? There's no abuses, because if there's abuses with your product, it's gonna come back to you, right? So the whole kind of vetting and monitoring process. But no, excellent, excellent presentation. Thank you so much. Give a round of applause. Yeah, sure.
Very sad topic. Out of your way.
Hello, everyone. I'm Nicole,
I'm Derek.
Matt, Sean,
and our company name is the New Me Resort. So I'm going to, yeah, okay. So our inspiration for this idea came from our own experiences with vacations. First, you know, you go on vacation and you don't know anyone there, you don't know what's going on at all. You have to spend money on food. You have a few activities you have planned, but the rest of the time you're basically laying in your hotel room doing nothing and just getting fat on food, and to the point where some days you feel so lazy you just want to lay in bed and do nothing. So then we read this article, which I'm going to read out loud to you guys. Basically, an article by USA Today reporter Bruce Horowitz, which surveyed more than 30,000 consumers in more than 60 nations, revealed that more younger consumers are far more concerned about everything from food ingredients, genetically modified food, to organic foods than previous generations. Indeed, an obsession with healthy and clean eating seems to be the order of the day. The most health-centric group of consumers is Generation Z. These are the men and women younger than 20 years old. More than 4 out of 10 individuals polled in this group indicated that they'd be willing to spend more money for healthier products, as opposed to 32% of millennials and 21% of baby boomers. Other findings included 41% of Generation Z stated that they would be willing to pay more for healthier products. 26% of Generation X from 1965 to 1979 stated that they would pay more for healthy food, and 16% of those in the silent generation made a similar claim. So clearly, everyone is all about the new movement of eating healthier, staying healthier, but we just don't have the methods to get there yet.
so that, after reading the article, we realized just how much money is in the health industry. It's growing, so there's huge potential. People care about the way they live, eat, and exercise more than they did ever before. So we began thinking, how can we, about an idea that would allow people to earn a lifestyle they're looking for. Some people are afraid to go to the gym, and some people just don't know what it means to eat healthy. And there's videos out there, and you can learn this stuff, but we wanted something different. That's where the light bulb lit up. So our business idea is one that combines what we're looking for, and is an all-inclusive resort, which teaches you a lifestyle over a course of 1 or 2 weeks, depending on what you choose. From eating habits to exercising, professionals will help our customers live a better, healthier life.
Alright, so after conducting some research, we decided that our best chances to do business would be in the US, Mexico, Brazil, India, and China.
Alright, so these were all chosen based on where we found that obesity was highest. Now in these nations, like, it's just through the roof. In the US, you've got over 100 million people who are obese, 33% of the population, and it's just insane to see that. And there's some things that, like, you know, you just can't help. You gotta find ways to do it that, you know, it works for you and is helpful. And if you're used to like a sedentary lifestyle and you like going on vacations, let's say, why not use that to your advantage? And that's basically where we got this idea from. And while doing this research, we also found that, you think of these nations, these are huge tourist traps. So it would just be, they just go hand in hand together. All right, so now we're talking about what's the best location. And we thought about the best location is where you're gonna get the best experience for your consumers. You're gonna have the most options there available for them. Everyone leads a different lifestyle. Everyone's at a different point in their lives. So how about giving that to them? Someone who's 85 years old is not gonna be wanting to go on a run on the tallest mountain out there. Like, I don't know, no one else would really either, but yeah. So a younger kid would want to go out more, go on hikes more, go swimming. Older people maybe stick to staying around the resort, but still have some activity in your lives to stay healthy. You want something that's going to be the most useful. If you're going to set a goal to learn to cook, to be able to meal prep by the end of that trip and be healthy, then you should be able to attain it. If you go over there expecting to learn something and you can't do that, what's the point of going there? You want something that's going to be comfortable. If I'm going somewhere where I know I'm going to be shamed for my body, if I'm going to feel self-conscious, I'm not going to be motivated to do anything. I'm going to be wanting to sit in my room in front of the TV the whole time and just run away from everything. And then you want something that's going to be accessible. We're not going to be sending you guys to North Korea where, who knows, God knows what's going to happen there. You're going to go somewhere where you're going to feel comfortable, going to be able to go to, fly there whenever you want to, and have fun. And finally, it's going to be what's most wanted. If you don't want to go and do a Pilates class, if you don't want to do CrossFit, you don't have to. It's just going to be whatever your demand is driving us, and we're going to give everyone options for that. So, moving on, this is just going to be our potential locations and our secondary target market. So that basically, with that said, these red ones, Mexico, the Bahamas, India, China, those are all based on more obese populations. However, and these are going to be the places that we're going to be targeting our consumers. And then we have these green ones, Hawaii, California, Sweden, Australia. These countries and cities are, states, I'm sorry, are some of the most healthiest places on the planet, where people care the most about what they eat, about what they do, and hopefully that's where we're going to be getting a lot of our trainers, cooks, just advisors, everyone from. So that's where we're going to be getting employees. And now we're going to move on to our pestle analysis. We're going to start with the political one. The biggest thing for travel, for hospitality, is terrorism. And that's just, it's becoming more and more evident nowadays. You have people being terrorized on planes, on trains, in hotels. Specifically, I was reading an article that a lot of times some terrorists will be targeting hotels and resorts just because that's when people aren't going to expect it. You're on vacation, you hope to be safe in that place because you want to get away from the troubles at home, and you still get caught in the biggest mess of your life. Another thing is international relations. If you think about it, you don't want to be going somewhere. If Australia and China are having trouble and you're from China, you're going to Australia. Right now they're having a huge thing about foreign direct investment, actually. If it gets really bad, you don't want to be going from one of those places to the other because, it's just bad for your country. And just politics in general. If there's unrest happening due to a split in political ideas, you're going to have some problems with that. Moving on to the economics, your international strategy is going to be your international economics. Whatever you're going to do has to be based on it internationally, so whatever demand you have to worry about that. In a tougher economy, you're not going to want to spend as much. You don't want to be having to go on vacation if you don't have enough money for it. If in some places a dollar costs a lot, then you don't want to be going to those places and exchanging your money. So it's a huge factor in our industry. Socially and culturally, we've read a couple articles where it talked about how people really want to travel nowadays. It actually said that it increased, the number of people that wanted to travel internationally increased 13% from 2013 to 2014. And Australians clearly spend most on travel at a whopping $12,393 per family per trip.
in 2014. So people are spending more and more money on going on these vacations. So this is just, it sounds really great right now, but if, let's say, times get tough and people don't want to be spending that anymore, that's going to become a problem. Culturally, it might become difficult if, let's say, we, for some reason, if we're focusing on China and we want to get people to Australia and we have only Chinese people coming down there, like, you know, you have kind of like, first you're going to get stigmas and you're going to get, you know, cultural problems there as well. You want to have some kind of diversity there and be able to accept everyone and have, you know, just no problems at all. And then another thing with social and cultural, again, is the population. Who are they and where are they at in their lives? There's older people who are going to need to be doing different things than younger people, and that's really important. Technologically, the biggest problem here is with competitors, such as like Airbnb, where they offer a lot of things for a lot cheaper just because of the technology they have, and they have less costs in doing what they're supposed to, like in running their business. Legally, this is big for the hospitality and travel industry simply because there's so many regulations you have to deal with. There's zoning regulations, health, safety, food. Then this being a resort, if you want to have any trips going outside of the resort, you have to get contracts from other people. And then employment opportunities, minimum wages, and taxes. I mean, if you're going into other places, taxes are huge if you don't know what you're going to be having to pay. Recently, Airbnb also was fined a huge amount because they weren't paying lodging taxes. So that's going to be an issue for us as well as we go into our international venture. Environmentally, huge things in the travel industry are things such as fuel. If you're running a hotel, electricity costs are enormous. I mean, the amount of times you go to a hotel room and you're like, oh, I'm just going down for food, and you end up being gone the whole day, you leave the light on. That's electricity, that's money, you know? Another thing is, as we have more environmental problems, we get more discomfort. If you're going to a ski resort, let's say in Sweden or something, or somewhere up north, and you want to be able to go skiing, but global warming's occurring, all the snow's melted, what are you going to do? Same thing if you're near the equator and it's the middle of summer and you're burning up. Are you going to really want to be at that resort? Probably not.
So with this in mind, it's clear we need to have a resort with options that also captures the cultural and local culture. At New Me, we plan to offer guests a variety of delicious and healthy foods, and that could replace more unhealthy options while keeping in mind people's diets and local foods. When it comes to activities, our model is better too much than too little. If people are are constantly engaged, they do not have the time to be bored and sit around watching TV and eating. We offer full facilities, classes, around the clock hikes, cultural opportunities, and we make sure not just to show the lifestyle, but to teach it too by offering options such as being able to take cooking classes and learning to meal prep and cook for their entire trips. Some options that are included are opportunities for the local community and tourists alike, allow different classes and different levels of intensity, being flexible with people's schedules. So based on our FIT model, which is frequency, intensity, time, and type, different classes and different results based on this, and adding in the option to choose what kind of people you would like, people you would like in the group, be it people at the same level or better than you, or friends or strangers.
So a typical day at the New Me Resort and our possible location of Australia is for the early risers at 6 a.m. we have group runs and hikes. Then at 8 a.m. the options for breakfast begin, which can include smoothie bowls with locally grown fruit or avocado toast. At 9 a.m. the options for trips begin, such as you could go swimming with dolphins, by coral reefs with sharks. You could either go hiking, kayaking, or ziplining, or if you want to stay more modern and in the gym, you could do yoga, just working out in a gym, dancing classes to CrossFit. At 12, lunch begins, could either be a quick snack, buffet, or cooking class. We really offer a lot of options, so, it's your call. You don't have to stick to what everyone else is doing. At 6, there's locally inspired dinners served with dance lessons after, and then at 7, it's free time. Healthy snacks are provided on site to bring to each adventure.
Again, that has to deal a lot with environmentally, we're trying to be a little bit more resourceful, so rather than having people come in with their packaged foods and stuff like that, a lot of our places will be all inclusive, so we're gonna give you guys snacks, we're gonna provide all of that stuff to help be less wasteful.
This could be a potential design of our location for one of our resorts. As you can see, there's mountains for the hikes and zip lining, and then you got the pools for swimming, and then not pictured would be the ocean where you can do the coral reef, sharks, or dolphins.
Okay, so now let's look at like the process for entering the market. So first what we would want to do is find a location that has the highest percent of obese people and mostly like people that are concerned about their health. Find a location as a tourist attraction. We don't want to just build this anywhere. We want it in a place where people would like to go so we can compete against these hotels and offer something a little bit extra. We want to decide which markets are worth entering, and those would also want to fit with our demographics, what we offer and everything like that. We want to buy it or build. It really depends what's there. If there's room to build, we can build. If we want to buy a building and just renovate it, we can decide to buy it to the company standards. We want to get to know the culture, the beliefs, and try to predict the demand for service. I think that's the biggest one, because you don't want to go somewhere where you expect a lot and then you end up getting nothing and you just waste all your money. You kind of want to make sure you understand everything and get like a solid estimate for your demand, and then hire all the necessary steps to make this process possible. For the structure, we were thinking about starting small, an organic company. We don't want anything big. We want that home feeling in our company. We want a few employees because I feel like the more employees we have, the more you get away from that organic feel. So just start small, few employees. That would mean that we have a flat organizational structure, meaning we go from the CEO spread out like that. So there's less power differences between everybody. It's not just a lot of different positions. It basically goes from the owners to the CEO, which then we go to the CFO, marketing director, and general managers, and then all the rest of the employees are counted as one. So that's going to be like the cooks, the instructors, and everybody else. We want high employee empowerment. Taking a management class, I realized that is very important. If your employees know that they have the power to do things, they feel a lot better, and if they feel a lot better, so will their customers. We want to be strong on ethics because that is very important in today's age. You want to look like a company that is ethical. You don't want to be breaking the rules. You don't want to be doing things before questioning. Just so you have a good public image. And we also want to make decentralized decision making. I don't think the CEO is the best person to make decisions for what happens to in certain times. If you're someone that's working at the resort, you know a lot better what the customers need, what they want, and you can observe and give your input, and that's how decisions should be made. It should be everyone collectively together.
Culture is probably the most important aspect to understand when doing business abroad.
Okay, so that's just a quote. It was quoted Matt on this one for our discussion.
I quoted myself for one of the discussion points.
It just fits so well, and it's just so important with like what we're trying to do here with our company.
Okay, so now there's numerous challenges when trying to enter a new international market. So we put up the ones that we think are important. Obviously, the biggest one right at the top is the cultural differences. I mean, I was born and raised in Poland, and I came to America, so I know kind of two cultures, but very different. And then we're trying to go to Mexico, which is completely different, and you just have to know everything. To go along with the cultural differences, you definitely have different views that goes hand in hand. People don't value the same things the same way, so you have to advertise differently, you have to market things differently, you have to provide different things, and not everyone's gonna like the same thing. You can just copy and paste a resort from Mexico to China and expect to get the same results. You have to twist it to fit the values. And also there's obviously language barriers, so we're gonna have to have translators or interpreters who can help us out with that. Then the other side of things, I feel like going international, you obviously have to hire more employees, which can be difficult because then you have to start thinking about, do I want to hire employees from that country? Do I want to do I want to hire people from the country that we're hosted in or the country where we're located right now? So that's difficult. It also becomes harder to control the more people you have. That flat organization starts to become, oh, the other one, flat, and then the other one is tall, right? Then you start becoming a tall one, which we kind of try not to go to until we're established and we know where we stand. It can become expensive going international just because you're not sure about all the costs. Once you get in there, you don't know what your profits will be. It's just all, you can look at the competition, you can look at the past, but you don't know how your business will work out. And it's hard to predict the demand. We can always predict, but what you're really gonna get is different all the time from what you're predicting. So, yeah.
Some of the determinants of culture include language, religion, political views, and education. When doing business anywhere in the world, a business must understand what the culture they're doing business in is like. Doing business in China is not like doing business in Mexico or the United States because of the different cultures. Being aware of those differences can cause a business to, being unaware of those differences can cause a business to fail no matter how strong their product is. There are differences in the way people negotiate, communicate, make deals, where they meet, how they talk, and what they like, what they look for in a business partner and product. If you are missing one of those and many other things, you may scare off potential business partners. In order to be successful, you must understand the way that region operates or you will fail. Culture is probably the most important aspect to understand when trying to do business overseas.
There it is again. Alright, and then here's just like a little picture showing that even if you're all over the world, you've got different foods, different everything, and we're trying to put that into our little organization also. So wherever you go, you're still gonna get a hint of that culture being there, whether it's in like Hawaii, you still get that feel of drinking out of a coconut or something like that, or taking hula dancing classes, or going somewhere else, going to China, getting that culture in, being able to eat that food but cooked to a more healthy level. You still get it everywhere you go. And then we have our little 5-step process to successful marketing, because when you go abroad, marketing changes like completely. It's not the same people. Like I know how I would be able to market to you guys or what you guys might like just as being Dominican students. If you're going somewhere else, it's a completely different playing field. So our first step was to decide which location you want to market to, which is completely obvious. If you don't know where you want to go to, then you're going to be completely lost. If you're going to put up random bulletin boards here in another nation or another one and another one without like just being copy and paste on each one, you're not marketing to anybody in particular, just the whole world in general, and everyone's going to have a different view on it. Secondly, you want to learn as much as you can about their culture. This goes hand in hand with what I was just saying. If you don't know anything about that, you're going to be having a couple problems with it. If you don't know who they are, you're just lost in that. Then you need to focus on what the people value so you can target it. So what makes your product valuable to those people? If they don't find a need for that product, they're not going to buy it. They're not going to spend their money on it, and it's just a lost cost to be spending money to market in that nation. Then we said to get feedback from a local to make sure it fits. We watched that video in class where it talked about them going into Africa, I believe it was, and they were trying to feed people, and they were growing tomatoes, and instead they were feeding the hippos because that's not what they needed. The locals know it the best. They know what they need, they know what they want, they know what's gonna work. So if we're gonna be marketing somewhere else, we're gonna be going over there talking to them, hey, would you be going to this? If we had these yoga lessons that are complimentary even, would you come to these just to see what they're like? If we offered you free ones, would that work? If they're okay with it, we'll post the ad. And then, even though it might work for now, sometimes it might not always be that way. So we're gonna go back to it, revisit it, make sure that it's still working. If we are losing demand in that area, losing money in that nation, just cut it out, or stop that, or find a new way to market it over. Because at that point, we'd just be losing money if we did it.
Okay, so this is actually from the management class that we learned about it, but it was very helpful in international business because everything connects.
Halstead's cultural dimensions.
Yes. So I looked up the 3 countries that were Well, Australia we talked about, but the 3 ones we made ads for, and just looked at what they valued. What it does is it looks at the power, distance, individualism, masculinity, uncertainty, avoidance, long-term orientation, and indulgence. And what it does is it ranks, or gives them a rating, each country, based on how much you see that. So as we can see, America, United States, right here, individualism, we're at 91. We're all very individualistic. And then you look at someone like China, who's at the 20, that means they're very family orientated.
Oh, I didn't know that move, sorry. I was just trying to use the laser.
So we use that to kind of feel out for the culture, what it's like, what people value, and that is how we came up with the ads. And I'm going to speed up a little because I think we're close to 20. So the first ad, here, is geared towards United States. So the first thing we wanted up there is to have things that would, once someone from America sees it, they're like, oh, that's for me. All inclusive. We all like, based on the charts, I'm not gonna go into that because it's gonna take some time. Based on the charts, we enjoy things like that. 150 resort card included. As you can see, that one will change as we go to China because we are very us orientated. This would be like, okay, that's for me. That's $150 I get to use. And then you see results in as little as 2 weeks. That's up there because from the chart it says that we are very short-term orientated, so we don't think much about long-term. We want to see results right away. And at the bottom is just a couple of things. Enjoy the option to have a one-on-one experience all the way at the bottom there. That's just to show, once again, that side that we are individualistic. And then learn the exercise that help you lead a better and healthier life, and learn how to eat healthy and still enjoy a local cuisine. And this will be pretty expensive because it is all-inclusive, and it's in America, which is where people have a lot of money. So $4.99 a night. I looked up our competitors, and they're a little bit more expensive, so I hope we can bring the cost down to that and compete against them. So now we're looking at the China one, which is a lot different from the looking. And the first thing you can see is this bring your kids for free. There's not the $150 card, because that's not what they care about. They're actually a lot more oriented towards their family, and they're very long-term orientated. That's why it says lifelong benefits. They don't care about what happens in 2 weeks. They like the big picture, and it's great for all ages. That just to go along with the fact that everyone's welcome and it's a family kind of an environment. And then we changed the last thing at the bottom there. It's not a one-on-one. There's family-oriented classes that will help your whole family improve their lifestyle, because that is something that's geared more towards them. Costs are at $249 a night. They had to be dropped. First of all, it's not an all-inclusive. On the chart here, they actually, from indulgence, it's a 24. They do not like spending money on things like that. So I feel like taking that out, we were able to bring down the cost, which is, I feel they would look a lot more at the 250 compared to the 400 if we just took out the all-inclusive part of it. And then Mexico, again, a little bit different. Mexico is actually very similar to China. They're also at individualism is at 30, so that means they're family oriented as well. But their indulgence is at 97, which is the highest one of all of them. That means it's set on there. You can go more in depth for each country to see what the numbers mean and how they get them. They like to spend money if it makes them happy. So it's all inclusive. It's at $3.99 a night. It's a little bit cheaper because it is in Mexico, and it's a little bit cheaper there than looking in America. So we had to be competitive with the pricing. Again, it's bring your kids free because that is what they're looking for. See results as soon as 2 weeks. Once again, they are very short term. I think they are at 24, so that's pretty short term. And satisfied or your money back. They're the only one that are very big on avoiding uncertainty. So I thought putting that up there in the contract, it would make them feel a little bit safer about making this decision for $3.99 a night. And that one, again, says family-oriented classes instead of one-on-one, because they do care about their family more than about themselves, and it's just individualistic versus companies.
Alright, so before you guys ask us questions, what?
We should skip
Wanna
this
skip
one. We had some questions for you guys to get some input, but I know we're kind of hitting that time, so I don't want to waste more class time for you guys.
Any questions?
Yeah, I got 2 questions.
Go ahead.
I'll start with this one. So, would you guys ever think about taking this idea and putting it into a cruise? So you have your resorts in different locations, but maybe like have a location where you're going from Australia to Mexico, you're taking a cruise all the way down, but you're starting there for like 2 days, taking it all the way there, ending your trip in Mexico.
It's a Yeah, we didn't really think about it because we were just more fixated on the fact that you're going to a new country, you just want to be there. Like, from our experiences, it's just going on vacations. You know, you have that. That's a good idea.
That could be something that we would add like later if, we were
You have to
starting.
grow
Yeah,
substantially.
we have to grow to get a cruise ship, of course, it's not like you can just buy one.
More regulations, yay.
And then my second one, how would you guys market this idea and avoiding the people that would think that this is technically, even though it's a resort, it's a vacation, but it also kind of sounds a little bit like, I'm not trying to be here, but kind of like fat camp.
Because we
Because
have
if you're
things-
wanting to go
yeah.
there to be like, to better yourself and look good,
I don't consider myself fat, but I love to go to one of those things
Yeah.
because outside of soccer, I do nothing for myself. So it'd be nice to, hey, I get to go on vacation. It's not like it's a class, you're forced to sit there, you're forced to listen and stuff like that. You can choose to participate or you can choose to treat it like a normal vacation. It's all inclusive. You get the food, you get the drinks, you can just live it like any other vacation. But I feel like you could just learn here how you can apply the things that you learn to your life. And it doesn't necessarily mean you have to be fat, you have to be overweight. It's just you want to learn a little bit more and you want to implement living healthy. Because as I said, I would go to that. I don't know about you guys, but to me it sounds fun. And I'd like to take this sort of class or like go try this exercise from this country. Would have trainers from all over the world that would be bringing different things to the table instead of just living this like, oh, in America we do it this way. You just go to the gym. There's other ways people live around the world, and it could be a fun experience, and you could, learn something new.
I was just thinking going from like your article on the first slide, it was talking about all the generations and everything. Generation Z, I think you said, was the one that's like more healthy. So like I see like them, that would be, you guys, this idea would be easy for them, but like let's say someone that's 45 and up, trying to tell them like, hey, like, let's say their wife or husband's like, let's go to this resort, let's kind of better ourselves, we get to go on vacation, and we also kind of get fit and learn how the techniques of eating right and stuff like that. How to like, you got maybe one, but how does one persuade saying that this is not like a fat camp, this is like a vacation?
Because there's a lot of other things available. So like other things we were thinking about when doing this, we didn't necessarily like capitalize on them in the slides, but like that, it's not just, oh, you have to go here, you have to go there. Like we'll have tours, we'll have stuff like that that you can just do, like if it's on an island, to go around. I know before I was looking at all-inclusive resorts just for vacations, and there's so many things out there that you could do, and like I think that it wouldn't be just this, but like offering shuttles or stuff like that to be able to go to other things. So it's not just you're sitting in a hotel just working out, so that you're getting out, being able to see another country or something like that.
I feel like that's also like why, like a gym. You could call it a fat camp as well. It's just the way you market yourself, the way you use your words, the way you put it on paper, and the way you say it is. I mean, it's not fat people going to the gym. It's people that wanna be healthy, that wanna, whatever your goal is, motivation is. So it's just, I guess we would have to use the right words, not to offend anybody, and not to put that image on it. So that would probably be to the marketing director.
I'm not trying to like be mean or anything. I'm just thinking like this is a cool idea. I honestly do.
Copyrighted.
Question. What is your biggest obstacle to entering?
I guess now that I think about it, that's a big obstacle right here. To put out a good image of us, to not make it sound like, hey, if you're fat, come to us. It's more of like, if you want to learn a lifestyle. But I think culture is a big one. I've never been to China. I've never been to Mexico. I haven't been to California. But that's 2 out of the 3 that I haven't ever been to. So I do not know the culture. I would probably have to go out there, live there for a little just to understand it. I would be afraid to just go there for a week and assume everything and try to open up a business. So I feel that would take a long time. I don't know if you guys agree or want to add something.
Another thing I was thinking of is, one of the biggest things for me is like, how do you create this culture within the corporation, within the company, that like you want your employees to motivate people, and you got to motivate them, and it has to be like, that's really difficult to think about, that to get everyone on the same playing field, to make them show the customers that it isn't a fat camp, that it isn't something that you're going to just for that it's you're still having fun, you're still having a good time there.
Would you hire regional managers for each location? People that actually know the culture very well, speak the language, so on and so forth.
Yes. we did a case on WestJet for another class, and it was the same. It was the same problem. Do we hire people? Because West is big on their culture, just like we wanted to have this healthy culture. They had this like fun culture, and their biggest concern was, do we hire people from Canada and send them over, or do we hire people from there? And I think after doing all that research, there's a lot of positives to both. But I think not having that cultural aspect there just takes away from everything you can do with the experience you get from the country. So I feel like we would either have a dual manager, which that's something to consider, or hire from the country where it's at.
Are you offering your own products on the site? Are you offering branded products, or are you getting vendors to send in water, juice, food, t-shirts,
We would also
banners?
keep it as, we try to stick as local as possible. However, if the need becomes evident that we would have to have stuff imported and stuff like that, we definitely would. But if it comes to like just food and stuff like that, like fruits and vegetables, we try to stay as local as possible and try to really get that culture and the taste in for foods.
Awesome. One more thing. Personally, I think the biggest challenge is economic challenge. How do you come up with the capital to purchase that resort with all the machines, all the people,
That's
all
when
the
you become a
furniture?
professor.
No, what I'm saying. So then would you consider just licensing, branding, and managing? Meaning that there's already a resort there that failing in these countries. We don't want the property. We just want to implement this strategy and this lifestyle and this culture there. We'll get half of the proceeds, you guys get half of the proceeds since you own the property. That's a consideration because, you know, as we were talking before, a lot of the hospitality groups have been doing that. They don't physically own these giant facilities that you think they own. They used to be part of the strategy, but now they figured out it's probably not economically feasible to be paying millions of dollars in taxes and making sure the rooms are properly filled up, the tables are filled up, because you still got employees and stuff like that. So would you consider licensing
I think at the
or
start,
franchising or something like that?
I think at the start it'd be necessary to do so, just because that we're talking about a lot of money to make this all happen.
Yeah.
But over the time, I feel like I don't like some things that are not my own. I like to have them. So as we would grow, hopefully, and gain the capital to be able to purchase these buildings for ourselves, I would try to, for sure, convince everyone, all the founders here, to purchase the building.
Any other questions? Anybody else?
What about like the interconnectability between resorts? Like, let's say like I'm an American, but I don't want to go to the resort in America. I want to go to the resort in Mexico. Do you think there'd be any way, like, because you're marketing, right? You're marketing for like for the citizens in Mexico. You're marketing for the resort in Mexico, right?
It was more of that ad for that resort would be sent out to like all over Mexico, let's say. But we could have another ad for that for the resort in Mexico in America that just would target different things and kind of market it differently. It would be the same thing, but it just I don't think it'd be okay to have the same ad to one resort in Mexico, be sent out to Mexico, China, and US. I think everyone will get different impressions from it, and they wouldn't like it. You have to highlight different things. But I understand the question is it's not that we're marketing only for that resort, for that country,
It's just
if there was an example for it. But we would definitely have a different ad for the resort in California, let's say, and we'd send it out to Mexico. It'll be completely different than the one you'd be seeing here in America.
I think off of that idea, have you considered like doing client premium memberships or something like that, like points for hotels? If they stay here, you can stay here in another location in another country to get like bonus things. Like in, I think you said China, the price is cut down and everything's not inclusive. So what if an American stays at your resorts here or in Mexico, and then maybe they have points build up so they can have an all-inclusive trip in China or something like that, but based off on that same price?
So I was definitely thinking about that, like when you stay at one place, if you wanna go somewhere else, why don't you get a discount for that? Why don't you do something else since you're staying with the company? I think it's a great idea, but to begin with, like this is just the first steps of what we're talking about, so we never really got that far. But sure, like to have some kind of points or something, even to eventually get like a credit card for everybody to be able to use and get points on that, that'd be great.
And money for us.
And money for us, definitely.
I noticed your potential markets, US, China, India, Brazil, Mexico. universally has probably some of the best foods, right? You think here, you go to a Mexican restaurant, you get Chinese food, you get Indian food, and you get American food.
We left out, the reason I left out India from the marketing area was because although they are in the top 5, the percentage compared to the population is pretty small. So although a good market, I think that's more for we're already known. Because I think it'd be difficult, like United States, 33%. It's a big number compared to and then the other ones were also at 13, at 8, but this one was, I think it was like 4 or
Yeah,
5%.
and then there were like other ones that we were looking at, like the actual, if you actually look at it by percentage, it's like, the top ones are like 66%, but that's like Cook Islands, like just tiny populations where there's like 20,000 people. Percentage there, like that's just their lifestyle, you know? And so we took that into account, since it was such a small percentage, we just kind of, yeah.
Excellent. I think it definitely could work. Geographically, you may want to go specifically to places where there's a lot of vanity, right? So if you are going to China, you want to go to warm southern parts of China on the coast where people care about their looks a lot. Because other parts of China, people don't care. They just want to eat good. They don't. Just like here in the United States, you go to Miami, it's different. Then you come back to the Midwest. Here we like to eat. We don't really care. Down in Miami, everybody likes to look good, be fit, live healthy, and do all these types of things. But no, any other questions? Okay, excellent presentation, guys. Are the other 2 groups, how are you guys doing in your presentation? Good? No issues? No problem? Yeah, I guess this could probably give you a good reference and what to use or whatnot. Everybody try to come next class. It's our last class, you know? It's good to have an audience, not an empty class to present to, so make sure you show up. Yeah, this is it. This is the wrap up. Did everybody enjoy class? Or are you just saying that? Was it boring?
A lot of information. Yeah, there's a lot.
Trying to give too much information, but just a broad overview, right? It's not like a PhD course or something like that. Just have an overview of how international business works. Now you can actually take these ideas and say, man, I want to do something overseas. Like forget the United States, you know? Like I have a headquarters here, but I want to go do some stuff overseas, right? Because it's a bigger market. The world is bigger than the United States. You know? So, if anything, I think having a global, if you can have a global knowledge, then someone talking about just a central local knowledge is nothing to you. You know, someone saying, hey, how do you market to Chicago? You're like, dude, I can market to China, India, Brazil, right? I know the exact process, looking at the culture, the environment, the legal, government, to make these things happen. And that's why I think international business, this is the way to go moving forward, right? We're in a globalized world, everybody's connected around the world, so we don't have information from every culture, then we're gonna be lacking, right? So when we're taken out of our culture, then we're gonna feel just completely lost. We should never feel that way. Best thing is just learn to adjust. I mean adjust to everybody. You could try that here in Chicago. There are 2 Chicagos. The South Side, the North Side. For those people who go to the South Side and see what different kind of cultures are, then we're lacking something, right? All we do is make assumptions and biases based on Facebook, Instagram, the news, blah, 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 you know, which is, I've lived quite a few places around, bad, good, poor, rich, whatever. And the stuff that I read is just all bogus, you know what I mean? The only real experience is experience. You don't go and interact and talk to people that, honestly, your opinion probably doesn't even count. Been there, you talk to them? No, okay. But with that said, we're done. We're done for class. See you next week. And make sure you show up. I'll have some snacks. Snacks, music. Watch some YouTube videos. I'll put on Drake. That'll be good together.
I'll make this as quick and painless as possible. I know everyone wants to get out here early. So my name is Jocelyn,
I'm Aaron.
And Roberto.
and our product is called Smart Fire. So going through, we're kind of have some meetings here. So the first is smoke detectors need to be tested from time to time. So sometimes I cook something. I know it's very true in my household. My boyfriend's a chef, and when he gets in his little moods and whatnot, I can't tell you how many times the fire alarm in our apartment has gone off, and it is a pain in the ass to try to get it to shut up, and it takes like 5 minutes. It's horrible. The next one is, I was just constantly beeping because of a low battery, and then before I knew it, some guy just lost it and whacked me right off the wall. Honestly, been almost to the point where I want to do this, but my apartment building would charge me an arm and a leg if I did. But point is, with these two memes, so we've all kind of been there, if not like in your own personal life, just in your home with your parents. I'm sure it's happened to us at some point in time where we've been cooking something, or our parents have been cooking something, and it goes off, and it's just a pain in the ass, and it's annoying. So our product is essentially a smart smoke detector. So basically, it would be a smoke detector that would also have an app to go along with your phone. So some of the things that would differentiate us from the products that are out on the market currently is obviously like the notifications. So when the either battery was dying, it would send you notification. We'd also have like a cooking mode on it. So when you were cooking something, you'd be able to just swipe it and not have to worry about your alarm going off in the middle of cooking. It'd be a dual smoke detector. So it would be able to detect both kinds of fires for you. So you wouldn't have to buy 2 separate smoke alarms. It would also detect CO emissions as well, so that again alleviates you from having to buy another product to have in your home. And then the last one that we came up with is after 30 seconds of it kind of going off without any sort of acknowledgement from your device, it'll send out a distress call to the local fire department just to ensure that if there was an actual situation where you did have a fire in your house, you're not just waiting aimlessly for help to come. So the goal in mind was for our product was to provide a better and more enhanced product for homeowners and business owners to prevent fires.
So some of the competition that we found was Nest. Nest is a company that has smoke detectors, thermostats, a couple other products that is similar to what our kind of idea. Basically, it's an app-based. You can run every device off your phone. Sends alerts to your phone, to you, letting you know, hey, this is changing, you got smoke, CO2, gas leak, whatnot. So it kind of is similar to our idea, but where we see where we can have an advantage on is that Nest has had issues with their product. It has issues that the battery doesn't last. It has drained somebody's electric bill to a large amount. It has also, in the middle of the night, in the below 0 temperature at home in New York, it actually turned their thermostat from 70 down to 23, which was bad because it ruined things in the house and it just made families feel very uncomfortable. So what we want to do is we want to have limited mistakes, slim to none is what our goal is, along with having that advantage against Nest to have a better customer response. And also too, Nest did go into a redesign. So Nest first came out, it was about $100, and it was terrible. Every 1 out of 3 people that bought it, they were having issues with setting it up through the app, having it connect, having it be accessible in all rooms. You would actually have to go into the room that you want to be having your product to work, your phone to work. So it went into a redesign, and they still are having issues currently, and it's actually priced at $119, which is quite high.
So now that we've covered some of what our product is and what our competitors are, we're going to go into what our markets or what markets that we're looking into. Primarily, we're looking into the residential because that's primarily where these calls are coming from, like fire alarm calls, and that's where most of the damage comes as well. So we're trying to mitigate some of that loss in the residential areas by offering this product to them. That doesn't mean that we're not looking at business entities either. but we do realize that residentials or households are our biggest market. And we also realize that this is a niche market, so we really gotta focus on them, because once you're buying a home, you don't think to yourself, oh, am I gonna get what smoke detector I'm gonna get? Because it's not that important as like a fridge or a TV or something like that. So for households, we're trying to be that brand that you're just gonna go to automatically for a smoke alarm. Because typically you either get the Nest, which is high end, or you just get any generic smoke detector, which is the little circle ones. And then, I mean, if you don't have that in your home, then you're most likely gonna get the Nest. So we're trying to be somewhere in between that. We're trying to be that product that households are gonna consider, or they're not even gonna consider any other product, because it shouldn't be that difficult of a decision to choose between our product and Nest. As for businesses, with businesses, we're looking to partner with them more so than just let them buy single products. And by that I mean, typically when you have a business, you have multiple floors, or you have multiple employees that you want to take care of. So we realized that it would be much easier and much better for the businesses to make deals with us, because we provide them with those deals that will allow us to not only offer our product but maybe services. So to have some technicians, or to have some people monitor their alarms and make sure that everything's in the clear. And then primarily we're gonna sell our products to households or homeowners through home goods stores, and then local fire departments as well. If they want to send like a PSA about fire safety, they could also go to schools and let the kids know as well, because then word of mouth, the kids tell their parents, and then parents are homeowners. And then social media presence as well, because our message isn't just to get this product out, but we want to raise fire safety awareness. Sometimes fires just happen because people didn't know how to either handle them, they don't know the right procedures, they don't know what to do. And then that's where our social media presence comes in. We want to raise that awareness, and then we believe through our product that we could do that. As far as strategic planning, we want to dominate that market. So our strategic plan is that this is a niche market. You either have your generic brands, or you have one big company like Nest. But Nest isn't like primarily focused on that alarm itself, because it has multiple products. So our product, we're gonna focus on our R&D in that specific product to make it the best in the market. And competitors like Nest, who have multiple products to take care of, because having multiple products, it means a lot of inventory buildup. They're not going to be able to keep up with our product. And as for the generic ones, they could get, like as Jocelyn mentioned, they could get annoying, and they're pretty basic. So it's either you plug in the battery and that's it, which, I mean, people are going to get annoyed with that. And then keeping up with technology, that's not going to cut it. So our strategic plan is to heavily dominate that market, because it's a niche market, and then we believe that once we build that product, that's the product that everybody's going to go to. Another thing with businesses is we're also looking to go into the government, or at least to offer our product to the government, or a specific prototype to that government, and that's for wildfires. So we're trying to like spread that out a little bit more, and this is more for the not-for-profit side to deal with like wildfire awareness. And not only wildfire awareness, but like if we can prevent those as well, because sometimes they can get out of hand. And that's a little bit more for the not-for-profit side, but this would be for our private sector, so business, households, and businesses. And then as far as some of the political factors that we have to look into is the NAFTA agreement. So we do look to go international at some point, and NAFTA. We have to consider NAFTA because we're thinking of basing in Ontario and Canada, and then that means that we're going to have agreements with the US and Mexico. So one of the major factors that we're going to have to look into is how is our product, or what would we have to do to get our product into the US. And then another thing is the economy. What we have seen is that there are rising trends in income. So household incomes in Ontario and in Canada in general, they're going up. So we expect to use that that knowledge, and then hopefully the household income also goes towards home improvement and also our product.
So for like the social aspect of Canada and specifically Ontario, during our research we found that they're very similar to like America. However, when they look at issues such as like healthcare issues and kind of just like environmental issues, it's more of a utilitarian mindset. So it's more so like what's good for everyone, not as much as not as individualistic as we are in America. We're kind of just looking out for ourselves and what's best for us in that particular moment. It's also more of a common sense society, which I found funny. I actually took that from a quote that that we found from a website. But they also don't do well when it comes to like direct communication. So like in America, we're kind of like go-getters. When we are passionate about something, we typically go after it and go after it hard. In Canada, when doing business, through our research, we found that that's not always the best way to do business out there. They don't like you to kind of come off as, pardon my language, but like as a hard ass. They don't respond to that well. So kind of just being aware of that and being aware how we handle negotiations and just like the different communities that we want to be in. I think that would benefit us as well.
And then technology is always changing as our phones are getting smarter. Why have something in our house that we just kind of put a battery in and hope that one day, hopefully it doesn't have to happen, a fire happens and the smoke detector goes off. Why have something like that just be left behind as well? So technology is changing, and these smoke detectors are going to have to change along with everything else in our household. There's smart fridges, there's smart TVs, probably gonna be the next thing is a smart microwave, and then continue to go on. So technology is always changing along with products in our house as well. And then partnerships with the government. We want to look into just having it be, support fire safety, support everything for wildfires, from parks, from everything else with fire safety. That's a need.
And then the last one we want to touch on is the legal aspect. Obviously, I know Roberto kind of touched on it briefly, but we do have to keep an eye on like the NAFTA agreement and what's going on with that with Trump and whatever he's trying to do in the office. So if that does fall through and that does disintegrate, then we would have to take into account the tariffs that would be put on our products going into that country. And then just custom forms, Form B3 is one that I saw pop up quite frequently for products going into that country. And then just, regular fire safety laws, standards and things like that. And then of course your business ID and tax IDs and things like that. That's it. Questions?
Anybody have any questions before I go? So your target market is the United States, correct?
So Ontario, Canada is our target market.
Okay, you're not based in Ontario.
No.
You're based in the U.S.
Correct.
trying to penetrate the Canadian market.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just because we felt like with our societies being somewhat similar,
Yeah.
it would be a smart idea to try to stay within kind of like the NAFTA trade agreements
Mm-hmm.
versus trying to take it to a country like in Africa where it could be quite useful, but the technology aspect and like the social aspect and the want for something like this isn't necessarily wanted.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of want to do it there and then kind of grow from there and see how it does in a society that's similar to ours.
So the device itself also has an app aspect to it?
Correct, yes.
And the app is what, updated via?
So the app is more so, it's more of like the convenience part of it. So it'll let you know like when like your battery's dying, or like I said for the cooking mode, or like if it detects like CO emissions coming out from any part of your apartment or house. It's kind of is there to make you more aware that your smoke alarm is there. I've had 2 apartments already, and I honestly couldn't tell you where my smoke alarm was. So I feel like just having it and on your phone makes it more accessible for you, and kind of puts it more so in like the front of your mind to know that it's there and that it's working properly. Like Aaron said, how many times like people died because the batteries don't work with their smoke alarms.
Yeah, to touch upon that, you occasionally forget that you can have a smoke alarm until like it goes off.
Yeah.
That's typically when the battery goes off. So like with the app, it's gonna send you like low battery notifications or like maintenance, because we're dealing with technology here.
Yeah.
Everything, like, new technology needs maintenance. And that's part of the aspect where our service team, where we have like service technicians come out or even monitor, like, there's a home alarm systems where people somewhere in the office or somewhere else could notify you that someone's breaking in or that there's some suspicious activity.
Yeah.
While you're not home, while you're not nearby, or maybe you're traveling, it could notify you there at that spot that something's going on, you know.
I think that's great. Another aspect for consideration is I have Blink home camera system, which is a Wi-Fi based camera system, no wires. They do firmware updates because they have a very advanced chip. So you can update the actual device, and they also do software updates. As opposed to going out, having a service person go out, which costs money. You pay for gas, you pay for equipment. And if you have any issues, you could just send the device back, which I think would be a little bit more cost efficient as opposed to having the physical person. That's something to consider. Firmware updates, software updates, app-based. So you could have like whole total new features roll out, which are app just like with any other features we have on our phones. Your customer service area is just gonna be one location, you figure, at the beginning?
What do you mean?
You're gonna have like a call center or places, where you're gonna have people like respond to
I
emails,
think you would start
tickets,
off as a call
claim
center here.
tickets.
Eventually, once we get a little bit more deeper into the market,
Yeah.
We're gonna start expanding into having probably little cells throughout
Yeah.
the country to be able to service. For probably where we would have an issue in the beginning, would be if there's an issue. We're based out here in the U.S. and there's an issue in Ontario. I think what we might outsource to like or contractors that can go in or sub people to go in and fix that for right now. So for sure, a call center here, something like being able to get people to come in and fix it until we can get cells around the country.
Yeah, I think that's really good. Another consideration, these are just considerations.
Right.
Presentation's perfect. You could consider a place like India, right? Let's say we'll let them be the call center.
Yeah.
They're very well trained on how to respond. They could play off the language. They could say, hey, I'm Jack so-and-so when they're not.
Yeah.
And they'll be more cost effective, right? As opposed to paying somebody $16, $17 an hour here in the United States. Something to consider. I like the fire safety awareness, hooking up with the fire department and the National Forest Service here in the United States. I think that's huge. Government contracts, there's billions of dollars to be given out for things like this.
Yeah, we just came up with that because I think recently, I'm not sure if it was last year, 2 years ago, there was one big like fire in California.
Yeah.
That just like destroyed plenty of homes and whatnot. And we believe that could have been mitigated a little bit by if there's like sensors or something that could have notified the nearest fire department or like I'm not sure, it's still in the works, but something like that before it could spread even more.
Okay. Anything else I was thinking? So you're just gonna focus on this product, right? You're not gonna have variations?
I think we want to nail this product first before expanding.
Okay. And you're gonna build from the ground up, or you're gonna hire an engineering firm to do it?
Probably go from engineering program.
Okay.
That way we can master it. 'Cause what we found was why we want to focus on one thing is because Nest took on everything they did.
Yeah.
And they had issues after issues after issues. So we want to focus really to have the best product right off the bat that we can get into the market. And once we're in the market for a couple of years, then we probably would start expanding.
Sounds good. I recommend doing crowdfunding, as a presentation. People would probably love to support this, right?
Yeah.
As a competitor to Nest and some other things like that. But besides that, no more comments from me. Okay, great. We got one more group after this, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So my name is Isaac,
I'm Michael.
and our service is a fast food restaurant, I guess you could say. It's called Olympic, and our slogan would kind of be called just where champions fuel up. Okay. So the background of Olympic is just that we're student athletes and we try to create something that kind of connected and like that we actually had personal experience with. And so as student athletes, we obviously have to stay healthy and fit and whatnot to be at our top all the time. So we just wanted something fast food with quick and healthy options. Our vision statement is just we're strongly dedicated to providing the best service and the best quality food to our guests. We understand that options are important, so is feeding your body. Nothing but the best, and that's why all of our products are made with fresh and organic produce.
So our differentiator is that we are a fast food restaurant, but it's not like a typical fast food restaurant. It's a fast food restaurant that serves food that's organic and premium that's organic with premium ingredients. It's also a place where you could just come in if you're on the go. Since we're student athletes, we're always on the go. We never have really much time to eat. So it's somewhere you could just come in quick, get your order, and leave. But at the same time, it's a place where you can just stay around and lounge if you want to. And a differentiator that we have is that we allow customers to customize their meals or whatever they want to eat or consume. So our target market, when we're creating this idea, we're thinking of ourselves as the target market, so student athletes or people that are active, but it's not just limited to us. There's also people who are weight conscious, who want to lose weight maybe, and they're able to go there, get healthy options, or people who have special diets who maybe you can't consume some certain products, so you could go there. You could we have all our ingredients who tell you exactly what's in the food, so you could just customize it to your however you like it. So our market strategy is that we're gonna have a website where you could go online, you could see our prices, you could see what we have to offer, and as well as you'd be able to order ahead of time. So this goes back to our fast-paced place where no one has time, so you just order it. You go there you order it and you leave. We're also gonna have a Facebook presence as well as a Twitter presence where we will be uploading pictures. Say a customer comes in and they get something that's completely different, but someone else might like it. So we'll upload that, put the ingredients that were there and what the customer wanted, and maybe someone else will want it, they could come and get that as well. And to market, we go to local sports events, such as like a local soccer game, and you could just go there, free samples of people, so they could try out the product.
Okay, so this is something of what our menu would look like. So to get a shake, choose your size, small, medium, large. Pick 3 veggies, fruits, and then pick 2 add-ons. Can't really see. It says powdered peanut butter, almonds, oats, granola, and all that good stuff. And then you pick your milk, and then you pick your protein optional, which is an additional $2.50. And then for the salads, it's kind of just all laid out there, and then snack wraps as well. So our competition, we're based off in Toronto, Canada. It would be Culture's Yogan Brews, Pinkberry, Jamba Juice, and then Menchie's. We think Menchie's is probably going to be our biggest competitor, but none of these competitors have yet to establish like a lead in the market. So there's still a lot of room for everyone to compete.
So politically, we want to be able to respond to current and anticipated future legislation and adjust our market policy accordingly. And we also want to make sure that our company is abiding by the Canadian legislation and making sure that we follow the rules and regulations that they have, as well as following. And with this, we're also going to ensure that our employees follow the code of ethics that we'll lay out for them, and they'll go through training so they understand that.
So the economics, the profit, we think our company can make good profit in the area, and there's high growth, and there, like I said again, there's no market leader, so we can establish that market leader position, or if not, it's just easy for everyone to compete.
So for our social aspect, we'll have a social media presence as said before, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. As well as on those, we'll be able to put promotions on there so people can come in, show us that they're following us or whatever, and there'll be a special promotion, maybe a discount or a free, something for free. And we'll also host events to give back to the community, such as hosting like donations, like you come here, you buy this, we'll give back a certain percentage to a certain organization that will help out the community.
So technological, we're going to develop a website, I said before, and with further information about the company, and then also the ability to order online and pick up as you come. And then also allow for customers to,
So legal, we'll make sure we follow the health and safety organization's regulations, as well as going through diversity training for the employees so they understand diversity and what's expected of them in terms of just getting along with everyone and accepting everyone for who they are. And environmental will be since it's all organic, we'll be using biodegradable supplies and organic food, so we'll be able to create a compost, and with this compost we'll be able to help establish local gardens from the waste we produce.
Any questions? Are you guys, did you plan on having drive-through at these locations? Or it's just kind of a walk-in?
I don't think we really talked about that, but I mean, it would be doable in our company just because everything is quick and fast-paced and everything's just getting made quickly. But we did the idea of the pickup and go, or whatever you want to call it, car side, curbside.
So is Canada your target market? Yes. Canada's your target market. Why, is it only Canada? Have you looked at anywhere else?
Well, not really. We just looked at Canada because that's what we've thought of before.
Yeah.
So we're just focusing on that for the moment.
Your direct competitors, most of them just sell smoothies, right?
Yeah.
Just smoothies and stuff. Okay. Yeah, I think advertisement at sporting events would probably, get you a lot of consumers that way. I actually think it's a very good idea in terms of eating, whereas other people just have a bunch of smoothies and stuff, so I like it. All right, no more questions from me. Yeah, take care.
Hi everybody, we're the founders of Dive. I'm Stephanie.
Amara.
Jacob.
So why did we want to create Dive? Basically, we wanted to create something that was a novelty experience, and it involves the delight of eating under the waves to a new demographic, because usually restaurants that are like this are either far away from America or directed towards families. It's an upscale bar and restaurant for those of legal drinking age.
So when we were doing research on what places actually are similar to what we're doing, we found quite a few. Most of them are in the US, but some of them are out of the country. So these are just a few of the ones that do similar things to what we're doing. So all these places actually have in common that they're family friendly. So we want to kind of bring the same thing as far as like family oriented restaurant, but at the same time we also want to appeal to millennials who want to drink like during later hours. So we want to keep like the same type of vibe, but like in a different way. So that's why we went with the underwater type of thing.
Also, we're not just solely a bar, but also going to be a restaurant where we're also going to be serving such as like seafood, because we are an underwater bar, and also local seafood, and also normal classic bar foods like nachos and fries and burgers and sliders and stuff like that.
So I was in charge of the layout and the ambiance of the restaurant, and basically here's an example of what our storefront window would look like. We want to have, basically how this wall is here with the aquarium, but in the front store window. So it kind of entices people to come in. You see like this wonderful light shining down on this aquarium, and you're like, what's that? And then it says Dive, and you're like, oh, that kind of works. So it entices people to come in. So we want the bar to kind of be in the center of the restaurant and set up very similar to how this picture is. We went to wrap around, and the bartender would be tending in the middle. We will have bottle service also, so if you need to get like a bottle of wine, champagne, whatever you want, you can get that directly sent to your table by a waiter.
In some of our locations, we have New York City. New York City is one of the places that's known for the most amount of tourism. Actually, in 2016, there was around 12.7 million tourists that came. And then in 2017, it increased to about 13.1, as opposed to what they thought was going to happen with less tourism. And then also we have Ireland. Ireland's also known to be a heavily drinking country. They have their stats to back up as well. Per capita alcohol consumption in Ireland was around 11.46 liters of pure alcohol per person, age 15 and plus in 2016. And it's almost, the amount of alcohol consumption in Ireland has almost tripled over 4 decades, since 1960 to about 2001. And then also Lithuania, because Lithuania is actually one of the top, I guess, the country where they drink the most amount of alcohol per person. We're typically like locating like New York City and then Ireland, close to Dublin, close to the Irish Sea, and also Lithuania, which is right next to the Baltic Sea, so right next to obviously oceans. And for some of the political factors, we're going to be looking at governmental policy on creating a restaurant and bar that is underwater, so we have to work with the government to see if actually this is doable, if this is possible. And then of course we have to look at the political stability of Ireland and Lithuania. Also, if you look at such as like the foreign trade policies, we need to figure out if we're going to import our alcohol and where we're getting our raw materials from. Then also we need to look at tax policy, like if alcohol or the products that we're using will be taxed or levied on. Also labor laws, like if we're going to be bringing workers with us from the US or if we're going to be hiring workers there, and also take kind of.
And that's stuff we thought about doing underwater, because bars are just, there's so many bars in the world, so we needed something that was like really different. So then she thought about doing underwater, and I thought that was really cool. So we went with that.
Because I had seen like a lot of, like you said, tropical places have that. And I think if we brought it to some place that didn't, it would be very interesting and it would be a novelty experience that people would want to see.
I think it's a phenomenal idea. I think people will go for it. The only other place I know of in Chicago is the Shed Aquarium that has an actual exposure to Lake Michigan where you can see out. And that costs them millions and millions of dollars to build. And a lot of legislation had to be approved. Another place I've seen is Dubai has a hotel where you can stay in suites underground, which are surrounded. So like your bedroom suite would be open up to this like body of water, but the body of water is a man-made body of water. Right? It's like a small pond. I would probably say that's more feasible to do it because you wouldn't want the pressure of a lake or an ocean to compromise killing a few hundred people in a place like that, right? That's just the litigation would be kind of scary. So I would say create a man-made pond, lake, something, or just very large aquariums throughout. But the concept is phenomenal. I would go drink and eat there too. But that's it. That's my only comment. All right, thank you guys. All right, everyone, this concludes class. Make sure you fill out course evaluations. If you're missing any assignments or anything, get them in quick. Upload all your papers from these presentations.
This presentation was brought to you by the ZACK Foundation, a global philanthropic organization focusing on poverty, education, and mental health. We hope you've enjoyed.